Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, a channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news. Look, guys, obviously the focus is pretty much now on who can we get in, who is a possible signing, how do we improve this very poor squad ahead of what will be a difficult start to the season with 5 tricky fixtures to begin the SPL season. But before that, of course, Champions League qualifiers against Panathinaikos in the second qualifying round. Russell Martin, speaking the other day, stated that he hoped to have a few in before that tie. One of the areas that has been identified, I think, by a lot of people as a substantially weak area in this Rangers team is the centre-back berth. If you look at the 5 centre-backs currently under contract at Rangers, there is Robin Proper, there is Ben Davies, there is Clinton Nsiala, Leon King, and obviously John Suter. Out of those 5, only really Suter is seen by most experts as been, passable as a player to start for Rangers. Robin Proper obviously struggled massively in Scotland last season, did well in Europe, but struggled massively in Scotland. Leon King, since his baptism of fire in the Champions League pretty much ruined him, has again struggled to find form. And Nsiala is a young lad still finding his way in the game, and Ben Davies has returned from his loan spell in Birmingham. Now, there's hopes, obviously, that Birmingham will buy him ahead of their championship campaign next season. However, it looks like that is all but dead now. So what will happen with Ben Davies? I don't know. Personally, Ben Davies, I think is another one who does all right in Europe, struggles in Scotland. I think he's a better player than Robin Proper, which is not hard. And if push came to shove, I'd much rather have John Suter next to Ben Davies for that first European tie than Robin Proper. I think Ben Davies is a better player than Robin Proper and Clinton Nsiala. But the hope is obviously to have a centre-back in before that date. Now, obviously the prime candidate that has been mentioned, a name that has refused to go away despite the fact that there were rumours saying that he's talking to Wolves, something I find unlikely with Wolves being a Premier League team, is Connor Cody. Connor Cody, who is currently with Leicester. Now, Leicester obviously were relegated from the Premier League last season. And so the story goes that Leicester are looking to offload him as they look to cut costs in the EFL Championship, despite obviously the fact they have the parachute money. PSR charges could well be on the way for Leicester after their last adventure in the Championship. So Cody is an interesting one and probably one of the most likely to move to Ibrox for a small transfer fee. Any fee for him will be around about £1.5 to £2 million maximum for a player that Leicester do want to move on. Cody's obviously the worry about Cody is his age, but he would bring experience, he'd bring leadership. He's still got the quality to play. This is a guy who played in the Premier League last season. You don't tend to get many Premier League games if you're a bit of a duffer. So I think, in the SPL, he can more than cope with SPL football, given the fact that he did all right in the Premier League last season. So looking at it that way, Cody is likely. Now, the other name that has sprung up just recently is a Croatian defender from Osijek called Luca Jelanic. Osijek, for those of you who may remember, is the same place that Borna Barisic came from, Croatian left-back who did so well in his early time at Ibrox, obviously part of the 55 title-winning squad. Jelanic is very highly thought of in Croatia, very highly thought of by his club as well. The club don't really want to sell him. However, because they missed out on Europe this season, they need to sell some of their better assets to raise money. The policy at Osijek is 1 in, 1 out. We have to sell before we buy due to no European football. So that's why the Croatian team are willing to let him leave this summer. Jelanic is 25. Like I said, he was born in Zagreb and came through the Dinamo Zagreb youth system over there. He's 6'2". He is right-sided centre-back, quality, good ball-playing centre-back. Again, very much fitting in to the sort of type of centre-back that Russell Martin likes. Russell Martin likes, that type of player. He likes the ball-playing centre half that can bring the ball out from the back. Jelanic could be an exceptionally good buy. Now, according to these reports, Osijek are looking for serious money for him. However, when they paid £800,000 for him from his previous club, Varazadin, I think they're called, I don't, serious money isn't going to be, we're not talking 8, 9, 10 million pounds here. We're probably talking 2, 3, 4 million maximum for the player, which would be a good buy for a player still within that kind of development range. Even at 25, as a centre-back. You can get a good couple of seasons out of this guy, and then he could go on to be sold for an even bigger profit. Now, Rangers are not the only club that are interested in Jelanic. Jelanic is a player that is interesting. Victoria Guimaraes. For those of you who know Victoria Guimaraes, that was the ones that took Umar Kamara, the French winger who was reportedly coming to Ibrox when Niels Koppen was the technical director. However, that transfer was killed stone dead at that time. For last season for Osijek, he played 40 times, scored 2 goals with 2 assists, played 3,295 minutes of football, played in 81% of their starting 11s and 78% of their minutes. So this is a reliable guy. This is a guy who, doesn't miss games, plays regularly, is regularly available, and is, like I said, is very highly rated. Former Croatian under-21 international, hasn't made the step up to the full Croatian national team. I don't know why. Like I said, I'm not an expert on Croatian football. But, looking and reading and watching some bits and pieces of tape on the guy, he looks a very good, accomplished centre-half. And look, I think we do need 2 centre-halves in this transfer window. And, if those were to be Connor Cody and Luca Jelanic, I think that would be decent business. That would, I think, give us, if you look at the 4, then that would give us Suter, Jelanic, Cody, and of course Nsiala. I think that gives you a good core. Now I think Nsiala will have a decent season this season under a manager who likes to play out from the back, and given the fact that Nsiala's specialty is passing the ball out from the back, I think that could be something that Martin can get the best out of him. Now obviously there are concerns about Russell Martin. His teams are not the best defensively. Hopefully that's something that he has improved and he has learnt from his sacking at Southampton, and hopefully that's something he will bring to Ibrox. Certainly something that we do need to develop further at Rangers, our defensive abilities. Now, look, I think we'll be obviously stuck with either Jack Butland or Liam Kelly in goal. But, bringing someone like Luca Jelanic, I think, would bring experience to that back line. And let's face it, as a club, we've got a pretty good record with Croatians, haven't we? You look at the past, like of Nikita Jelavic, Borna Barisic, for example, have done very well for the club. So, look, I like Croatian players as well on the whole, very technically gifted, very good, very skillful, very much good hard work ethic. A country that has a very proud football tradition. For, a small country like Croatia, their national team does exceptionally well and pretty much punches above its weight for the size of the country. I think Croatia's a place as a country in terms of its international football that Scotland could learn from, and other smaller nations like Wales and Northern Ireland as well, given how well Croatia do. So guys, let me know your thoughts on Connor Cody and your thoughts on Luca Jelanic to Rangers. I think both would be very good signings. Both would bring good experience and good quality to a back line that certainly needs it. Guys, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and remember always, we are the people.